morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to Global Atheist News Roundup, dateline 3rd of June 2023. This week's headlines. With 142 deaths, Iran's May executions are the highest in a month since 2015. The Islamic State teen convert is given a minimum of 6 years for a terror plot. Uganda's President Museveni approves tough new anti-gay laws. Nicaragua accuses the Catholic Church of money laundering. In Uttar Pradesh, a Muslim brutally murdered a Hindu girl. India cuts the periodic table and evolution from school textbooks. Andrew Tate gave an interview to the BBC. The influencer was challenged on misogyny and rape allegations. A prosecutor says the gunman in Pittsburgh synagogue killings hunted the victims. Connecticut witches are exonerated by Senate lawmakers. Iran has executed over 300 people this year. The monthly figure for May is the highest in the country since 2015. Norway-based Iran Human Rights said at least 307 people have been executed in 2023, which is a rise of over 75% compared to the same period last year. At least 142 people were executed in May alone. An average of over 4 people were hanged every day last month in the Islamic Republic. 19-year-old Matthew King has been given a life sentence with a minimum term of 6 years. King, who became radicalized as a teenager during the pandemic, plotted a terror attack on British police officers and soldiers. But his desires were thwarted when his mother reported him to the Prevent Counter-Terrorism program, something the judge praised her for, being very bold and doing absolutely the right thing. The judge also said King made notes about homemade bombs. He said he planned to die a martyr and wrote online, "I just want to get my hands on an American or British Marine." And despite the teenager's age and maturity, he found King to be a dangerous offender who carried a risk of future harm to the public. See this video.
Having reflected on all the matters that have been set out and summarised in these remarks, and in particular on the level of danger to the public you pose, and whether there is any reliable estimate of the length of time you will remain a danger, I am of the view that there must in this case be a discretionary life sentence, and that is the sentence I impose upon you. There will be a sentence of custody for life. The risks around you, albeit as a young man, are clear and concerning, and so the sentence of this court is one of custody for life with a minimum of 6 years, less 367 days. What that means is this, that before you will be first considered for parole, there will be a period of 6 years, less 367 days. I make plain that I am not ordering that you are to be released at the end of it. Whether you will be released or not at that stage, or at any later stage, will be a matter for the parole board to consider. Only when the minimum term has been served can the parole board decide whether it is safe to release you or not. If the board does release you, you remain on licence and liable to recall for the rest of your life.
President Yoweri Museveni of Uganda signed the anti-homosexuality bill into law after Parliament watered it down. It is still among the harshest anti-LGBTQ laws in the world. Homosexual acts are already illegal in Uganda, but now anyone convicted faces life imprisonment. The legislation imposes the death penalty for so-called aggravated cases, which include having gay sex with someone below the age of 18, or where someone is infected with a lifelong illness, including HIV. In a joint statement, 3 of the world's leading health campaign groups, the US President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, UNAIDS, and the Global Fund, said they were deeply concerned about the harmful impact of the legislation. Uganda's progress on its HIV response is now in grave jeopardy, the statement said. The stigma and discrimination associated with the passage of the Act has already led to reduced access to prevention as well as to treatment services, it added. In a statement later on Monday, US President Joe Biden described the passage of the law as a tragic violation of universal human rights, and he urged Uganda to repeal the legislation immediately. See this video.
This country will stand firm. And once it passes, I can tell you, Madam Speaker, we are going to reinforce the law enforcement officers to make sure that homosexuals have no space in Uganda.
There's no hope, but where are we supposed to go? You don't want us in your country. You're not giving us jobs. You're not giving us education. You're not giving us medication. You are criminalizing people renting to us. Where do you want us to go? You are arresting us for literally doing nothing, for simply existing, Where are we supposed to go? How did we become refugees in our own countries? This is bad news. It's not just for queer Ugandans, but for queer people across the African continent. Ghana has been literally on it for months as well. Tanzania, Nigeria, all of these other countries that I'm also not mentioning. It's just like they have been waiting for this.
Nicaraguan police said on Saturday that they are investigating several dioceses of the Catholic Church for money laundering, a day after local media reported that the bank accounts of parishes in the Central American country had been frozen. The police, loyal to the government of President Daniel Ortega, has clashed fiercely with Nicaragua's bishops. They said that since May 19, they found hundreds of thousands of dollars in church facilities in various parts of the country. Investigations confirmed the unlawful removal of resources from bank accounts that had been ordered by law to be frozen, the police said. The statement went on to say that the bank accounts were linked to religious figures convicted of treason and other crimes, and that the investigations confirmed the funds entered the country irregularly. The police went on to say the investigation also confirmed other illicit activities, which are still being investigated as part of a money laundering network that has been discovered in the diocese in different departments. People have their bank accounts here. This is how they carried out their work, Cardinal Leopoldo Brenes said in an article. We are analysing the situation, he said, adding that the bishops would meet and later provide more information. Daniel Ortega has imprisoned and expelled priests and nuns. He's banned pilgrimages and religious processions and shut nursing homes and soup kitchens that had been run by nuns. On Monday, May the 29th, India woke up to the shocking news of the brutal murder of a Hindu girl named Sakshi by her friend Sahil, a Muslim, in the Shabad area of Delhi. In the murder, which was caught on CCTV camera, Sakshi was stabbed over 20 times and then her head was crushed using a boulder. Her parents had said that Sakshi was stabbed so many times by Sahil that her intestines were bulging out of her body. Delhi police have arrested the accused, Sahil, and when he said, "Fearing anyone other than Allah is shirk." I'm going to have to look up the Indian meaning of shirk. The journal Nature has learned that the periodic table, as well as evolution, won't be taught to under 16s as they start the new school year in India. Children under 16 returning to school later this month will no longer be taught about evolution, the periodic table of elements, or sources of energy. The news that evolution would be cut from the curriculum for students aged 15 to 16 was widely reported last month when thousands of people signed a petition in protest. But official guidance has revealed that a chapter on the periodic table will be cut too, along with other foundational topics such as sources of energy and environmental sustainability. Younger learners will no longer be taught certain pollution and climate-related topics, and there are cuts to biology, chemistry, geography, mathematics, and physics for older school students. Overall, the changes affect some 134 million 11 to 18-year-olds in India's schools. Influencer Andrew Tate has denied fueling a culture of misogyny, and he's defended his reputation in a combative interview with the BBC. When the BBC put a range of allegations to him, including specific accusations of rape, human trafficking, and exploiting women, for which he is being investigated by Romanian prosecutors, he dismissed them. When pushed on whether his controversial views on women harmed young people, the influencer claimed he was a force for good and that he was acting under the instruction of God to do good things. He dismissed the testimonies of individual women involved in the current investigation who have accused him of rape and exploitation. And he described another woman, interviewed anonymously by the BBC earlier this year, as imaginary, saying she had been invented by the BBC. The woman in question, given the pseudonym Sophie to protect her identity, told BBC Radio 4's File on 4 that she followed Mr. Tate to Romania believing he was in love with her. There, she was pressurized into webcam work and into having Mr. Tate's name tattooed on her body, she said. See this video.
We are doing an interview with you because you're facing some very serious allegations.
Correct.
Rape, human trafficking.
Yeah.
And also because there's a great deal of concern about the things you say and the impact that they have on young people, on women.
I don't think the concern's about the things I say. I think the concern is for the level of influence I have and the reach I have.
Let's start with the allegations. Have you raped anybody?
Absolutely not.
Have you trafficked anybody?
Absolutely not.
Exploited any women for money?
Absolutely not.
But you have admitted using emotional manipulation to get women to work in the webcam industry for you.
No. We have an open criminal investigation. I am absolutely not really sure I'll be found innocent. I know the case better than you. I know it intimately and you don't. I have seen all the criminal files and the evidence against me and you haven't. I know the truth of what happened and you don't. And I'm telling you absolutely and utterly, I've never hurt anybody, that the case that's been put against me is completely and utterly fabricated. And I'm never going to be found guilty of anything. And it's very difficult for me to answer your in-depth questions because we're sitting here inside of the territory of Romania. I'm beholden to the Romanian legal system, and I'm not going to incriminate myself.
Let me read you then what you have said about what you have done.
Sure.
You have said, my job was to meet a girl, go on a few dates, sleep with her, get her to fall in love with me to the point where she'd do anything I say, and then get her on webcam so we could become rich together.
The man charged with killing 11 people at a Pittsburgh synagogue in 2018 acted out of a deep-rooted hatred of Jews, according to federal prosecutors who in court played audio recordings in which the shooter was heard stalking terrified victims. Robert G. Bowers, 50, of Baldwin, Pennsylvania, used multiple weapons, including an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle, and boasted of his intent on social media moments before he entered the Tree of Life synagogue during morning prayer services on October the 27th, 2018. Assistant U.S. Attorney Sue Song told the jury that he did not spray bullets at random, but tracked down congregants, shooting them at such close range, in many cases in the head and multiple times, that he singed the flesh of some victims with the heat from his rifle. In one audio recording played for jurors, Bernice Simon, 84, is heard pleading for help from a 911 emergency call dispatcher while trying to staunch gunshot wounds suffered by her husband, Sylvan, 86, who lay bleeding on the floor. After gunfire and screaming are heard, Bernice stops responding to questions from the dispatcher. "What were you hearing?" Acting U.S. Attorney Troy Rivety asked the dispatcher, Shannon Baza-Saboy, the prosecutor's first witness on Tuesday. "I was hearing her being shot," Baza-Saboy said. Both Bernice and Sylvan Simon died in the attack. In her opening statement, Attorney Song sought to establish that Bauer's view of Jews as a cancer upon the planet inspired him to commit the deadliest anti-Semitic attack in US history. Members of all three congregations that shared the synagogue, Tree of Life, New Light, and Dor Hadash, were killed. After officers apprehended him and asked why he did it, Bowers blurted out, "All Jews need to die. Jews are killing our kids. Jews are bringing immigrants and killing our people and committing genocide. And Jews are the children of Satan." Bowers is facing 63 hate crime and gun-related charges, which makes him eligible for the death penalty if he is convicted. See this video.
Jury selection begins for the highly anticipated trial of the accused Tree of Life synagogue shooter, Robert Bowers.
This time has brought back to the surface for many all the pain of 4.5 years ago.
7-1 suspects talking about all these Jews need to die.
I think about my mother every day. I think about what happened to me every day. I have wounds to remind me every day. Here it is. I love this picture. My mother loved purple. My mom was Rose Mallinger. She was a special lady. She loved her family, first and foremost. My parents joined the Tree of Life Synagogue before it was even at Wilkins and Shady. They joined when they got married. We all grew up there, and we all thought she would have lived to at least 100 because she was sharp as a tack. She just loved life. The overall thing that helps me move forward is that I'm alive. I came very close to death. My mother was very strong, and I feel that I have strength through her.
Charlottesville was a watershed moment for American Jews, I think more so than any other moment, to see all those people carrying torches, chanting "Jews will not replace us." So that kind of, I think, opened the door, but the Tree of Life massacre blew the doors off the hinges.
That's the suspect keeps telling about killing Jews. He doesn't want any of them to live.
And it said sadly to every synagogue in the United States, we're not safe anymore.
Connecticut lawmakers have voted to exonerate 12 people more than 370 years after they were convicted of witchcraft in colonial America. 11 of the 12 were hanged after trials that the state Senate now acknowledges were a miscarriage of justice. It follows a long-running campaign by descendants to clear the names of those wrongfully accused of being witches. Dozens were executed for witchcraft in the US in the 17th century. But on Thursday, Connecticut Senate voted 33-1 to exonerate those convicted in trials that took place in the state in the mid to late 1600s. The resolution follows nearly 2 decades of lobbying by the CT Witch Trial Exoneration Project, a group set up in 2005 by descendants of the accused. The group said they are ecstatic, pleased and appreciative, especially as the decision comes on the eve of the 376th anniversary of the first witch hanging in New England, that of Alice Young. We are grateful to descendants, advocates, historians, legislators of both parties and many others who made this official resolution possible. They added that they will continue to advocate for historical education and memorialization of the witch trial victims. Some members of the organization discovered their family links using genealogical tests. There will be no Free Thought Hour show today due to preparations for CMICT 23, Changing Minds in Changing Times, which is on tomorrow. And Views on the News will be uploaded a little later than usual. This has been Global Atheist News. Thanks for watching.